Vladimir Putin is one of the most powerful leaders of the modern era. Yet, behind his iron grip on Russia lies a life full of secrecy, rumors, and hidden truths. To truly understand his secrets, we must go back to his childhood. Putin was born in Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg, in 1952. The city was still recovering from the horrors of World War II. Food was scarce. Life was harsh. Putin's early years shaped him into a survivor. Unlike many future politicians, he did not come from wealth or privilege. Instead, he grew up in a small communal apartment, sharing the space with multiple families. This environment taught him how to be tough, how to fight, and how to trust no one fully. As a boy, he was fascinated with spy stories and secret agents. While most children dreamed of becoming athletes or artists, Putin dreamed of joining the KGB, the Soviet Union's powerful security agency. By the time he was a teenager, he had already made up his mind. His childhood friends recall that he was ambitious, reserved, and willing to wait for the right opportunity to rise. This obsession paid off. In the mid-1970s, Putin joined the KGB. He quickly learned the art of surveillance, manipulation, and psychological tactics. For years, he lived in the shadows, stationed in East Germany, gathering intelligence for the Soviet Union. But this experience did more than just give him spy skills. It shaped the way he would later rule Russia. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, many former KGB agents faded into obscurity. But Putin was different. He saw the collapse not as an end, but as an opportunity. He quietly climbed the ranks of local politics in St. Petersburg. Step by step, he built alliances with powerful figures. He gained a reputation for loyalty, discipline, and silence. This reputation caught the attention of President Boris Yeltsin. By the late 1990s, Putin was no longer just another bureaucrat. He was handpicked by Yeltsin to take over as prime minister and eventually as president. It was a shocking rise. From a boy in a poor communal flat to the leader of one of the most powerful nations on earth. But this rise was only the beginning. Behind the public image of a disciplined, tough leader, secrets began to swirl. Whispers of hidden missions, mysterious disappearances, and unimaginable wealth started to follow him. One of the greatest secrets surrounding Vladimir Putin is his fortune. Officially, Russia claims that Putin earns only a modest salary as president. According to state records, his declared income is similar to that of many European leaders. But many experts believe this is only the surface of the truth. Reports from investigative journalists suggest that Putin could be one of the richest men in the world. Some estimates claim his hidden wealth may be worth over $200 billion. If true, that would make him wealthier than Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. But unlike business tycoons, Putin's wealth is invisible. It does not appear on the front pages of Forbes. It hides behind layers of secrecy. The question is, how does he control it? Analysts believe Putin's fortune is hidden in a network of loyal oligarchs. These wealthy businessmen act as his financial shields. They hold stakes in oil companies, banks, and real estate. Yet many of them are suspected of operating under Putin's quiet control. One famous example is the luxurious Black Sea Palace, often called Putin's secret palace. In 2021, a viral investigation claimed this massive estate was built for Putin's personal use. The palace features golden interiors, a private theater, underground tunnels, and even a casino. The cost? Billions of dollars. But officially, the Kremlin denies it belongs to Putin. They insist it is owned by private businessmen. Still, few Russians believe this explanation. Other reports mention private jets, secret yachts, and hidden villas across Europe. These assets never appear under Putin's name. Instead, they are allegedly owned by his allies, making them almost impossible to trace. This system of wealth is what makes him untouchable. Even international sanctions struggle to directly target his personal fortune. But why does this matter? Because hidden wealth is not only about money, it is about power. Through these resources, Putin maintains absolute loyalty among his circle. Oligarchs depend on him for their survival, and in return, they protect his empire. This invisible network ensures that Putin's control stretches far beyond the Kremlin walls. Critics argue that this wealth also explains why he can challenge the West so confidently. With billions hidden away, Putin is not just a political leader, he is a financial force. This makes him one of the most secure rulers in modern history. But money is not the only secret that shocks the world. Power also means fear. And in Putin's Russia, many of his opponents have mysteriously disappeared, fallen ill, or lost their influence overnight. In Russia, power is not just earned, it is defended at all costs. And for Vladimir Putin, defending power has meant one thing: silence the opposition. Over the years, many of his critics have faced strange and mysterious fates. Some were jailed, some fled the country, and some never lived to tell their stories. One of the most famous examples is Alexander Litvinenko, a former Russian intelligence officer. Litvinenko openly criticized Putin and exposed corruption. In 2006, while living in London, he suddenly fell gravely ill. Doctors discovered he had been poisoned with a rare radioactive substance called polonium-210. Before his death, Litvinenko accused Putin of being behind the attack. The Kremlin denied involvement, but the world was shocked. It was one of the most chilling reminders of how far political power could reach. Another case was Boris Nemtsov, a prominent opposition leader. Nemtsov was known for his bold criticism of Putin and his policies. In 2015, he was assassinated near the Kremlin itself, just steps away from the very heart of Russian power. The symbolism was powerful. Killing an opposition leader under the shadow of the Kremlin sent a message to all others: no one is untouchable. Then came the case of Alexei Navalny, perhaps the most well-known modern critic of Putin. Navalny survived a poisoning attempt in 2020, allegedly with a deadly nerve agent called Novichok. He accused Putin directly, saying the Kremlin wanted him silenced. Though Navalny recovered in Germany, he later returned to Russia, only to be arrested and imprisoned. Today his voice remains behind bars. But it is not just political opponents. Journalists, too, have faced dark consequences. Anna Politkovskaya, a fearless journalist who reported on human rights abuses in Chechnya, was shot dead in 2006. Her murder raised global outrage, but once again, the masterminds were never fully revealed. For many, her death was another sign of how dangerous it was to speak against the Russian state. These stories have built a climate of fear around Putin's Russia. To his supporters, he appears strong and unshakable. But to his critics, he represents a system where speaking the truth can cost your life. This dual image, protector of Russia to some and a ruthless silencer to others, is what makes Putin so mysterious. And the world keeps asking, how does he maintain such control, even as international pressure grows? The answer may lie in another shocking secret: the use of doubles and the rumors that Putin may not always be the man standing in front of the cameras. One of the strangest and most shocking secrets about Vladimir Putin is the claim that he sometimes uses doubles. These lookalikes are said to appear at public events, meetings, or even in foreign visits, pretending to be the real president. It sounds like a spy movie, but many Russians believe it may actually be true. Rumors of Putin's doubles began years ago. People noticed differences in his face, expressions, and even body language during certain events. Some photos showed him looking younger, others older, within short periods of time. At times, his ears, chin, or jawline seemed slightly different. To conspiracy theorists, these details were proof. To others, they were just tricks of lighting or aging. In 2020, Putin himself admitted something unusual. He claimed that, in the early 2000s, security officials suggested using body doubles for safety. The idea was to send a double to high-risk events where Putin's life might be in danger. But, according to him, he refused. He said, "I never used any doubles, though I was offered." Still, many were not convinced. One reason the theory persists is because of Putin's mysterious health. Sometimes he disappears from the public eye for weeks. When he returns, rumors swirl. Was it really him, or someone else standing in his place? During major events like military parades, close-up shots often show slight differences in his appearance. His voice, his walking style, even his hand movements. People claim they are not always the same. Some analysts believe this theory is not completely impossible. Russia's history is full of deception and security tricks. During the Soviet era, leaders often hid their health problems from the public. If Putin did use a double, it would be consistent with a culture of secrecy. It would also explain how he manages to appear everywhere, even during times of crisis. Others argue that the theory is simply a way for people to deal with Putin's long grip on power. After more than 2 decades in charge, he almost feels like a symbol rather than a person. And symbols, as history shows, are often surrounded by myths. Whether real or not, the idea of doubles adds to Putin's aura of mystery. It makes him appear larger than life, untouchable, and even more unpredictable. If a leader cannot be identified with certainty, how can anyone truly challenge him? But while lookalikes are fascinating, they are only part of the story. Another secret lies in Putin's private world, one that he keeps hidden at all costs. Very little is known about his family, his relationships, and his children. If there is one part of Vladimir Putin's life that remains almost completely hidden, it is his family. Unlike many world leaders who show their spouses and children publicly, Putin has done the opposite. He has built an iron wall of secrecy around his personal life. Officially, Putin was married to Lyudmila Shkrebneva, a flight attendant whom he met in the late 1970s. They married in 1983, long before Putin became Russia's most powerful man. Together, they had 2 daughters, Maria and Katerina. But for decades, these children remained invisible to the public. No school photographs, no interviews, no official recognition. When Putin became president, his daughters' lives became even more mysterious. It is said that they studied under false names. They were protected by heavy security. Even their classmates often had no idea who they really were. Today, both daughters live quiet lives, rarely appearing in public. Some reports suggest Maria is a medical researcher, while Katerina is linked to academic projects in Russia, but none of this is ever officially confirmed. In 2013, Putin made headlines when he announced his divorce from Lyudmila. It was a rare moment of openness. He stated simply that the marriage was over, calling it a mutual decision. Since then, rumors about his private life have only grown stronger. One of the most persistent rumors involves Alina Kabaeva, a former Olympic gymnast. For years, tabloids and foreign media have suggested that she is Putin's secret partner. Some even claim that she has children with him, but the Kremlin always dismisses these stories, calling them gossip. Still, the rumors never disappear. The secrecy around Putin's family is not just about privacy, it is also about security and power. By keeping his loved ones hidden, Putin prevents enemies from using them as leverage. He also strengthens his image as a leader who belongs only to Russia, not to a family. It creates the picture of a man entirely dedicated to the state. But this secrecy also adds to the mystery. Who is Putin really, when the cameras are off? Is he a family man, quietly raising children in secret? Or is he the lone wolf, sacrificing personal life for absolute power? The truth may never be fully revealed. Still, one thing is certain. The hidden family life of Putin is one of his greatest secrets. And it leaves the world wondering, what else is he hiding? But beyond family, there is an even bigger question. How has Putin managed to stay in power for more than 2 decades despite wars, sanctions, and global opposition? For more than 2 decades, Vladimir Putin has ruled Russia. Few leaders in modern history have held on to power for this long, and fewer still have managed to do so while facing wars, sanctions, and global criticism. So what is the ultimate secret behind his survival? First, Putin understands the power of control over information. In Russia, television and media remain tightly managed. Critical voices often struggle to reach the mainstream. This allows the Kremlin to shape the narrative, presenting Putin not just as a leader, but as the protector of Russia. To many citizens, he is the man who saved the country from chaos after the Soviet collapse. This image, carefully built and maintained, is one of his strongest shields. Second, Putin has mastered the art of balancing fear and loyalty. For his supporters, he provides stability and pride. For his enemies, he represents danger and risk. This dual strategy ensures that even those who dislike him often remain silent. The fear of consequences, whether political, financial, or even physical, keeps opposition fractured. Third, Putin's survival is tied to Russia's natural resources. Oil and gas exports give him enormous leverage. Europe, for years, depended heavily on Russian energy. This allowed Putin to use energy as a political weapon, rewarding allies and pressuring rivals. Even today, despite sanctions, energy sales keep the Russian economy alive. On the global stage, Putin has positioned himself as a challenger to Western dominance. From Syria to Ukraine, his moves are designed to show that Russia remains a superpower. This defiance plays well at home, where many Russians see him as restoring national pride. For supporters, he is the man who stood up to the West. For critics, he is the man who destabilized the world. Another hidden secret of his survival is adaptability. Putin knows when to appear strong and when to step back. Sometimes he uses direct power, sometimes indirect influence. He shifts alliances, plays rivals against each other, and always keeps the world guessing. This unpredictability makes him difficult to defeat. But perhaps the greatest secret of all is that Putin has become more than just a person. To many, he is a symbol of Russian strength, resilience, and nationalism. And symbols are harder to challenge than men. Still, every symbol has its cracks. Wars, economic struggles, and growing isolation may test Putin's system in the years to come. The question is, will his secrets continue to protect him, or will they one day be the reason for his downfall? One thing is clear: Vladimir Putin remains one of the most secretive and mysterious leaders in modern history. From hidden wealth and family secrets to doubles and disappearances, his story continues to shock the world. And whether you see him as a savior or a shadow, one truth remains: his secrets define his power. Final question for audience. Which of these secrets shocked you the most? And do you believe the world will ever discover the full truth about Vladimir Putin?